I kind of love it. It's got a little bit of that Queens of the Stone Age vibe to it going on, and I'm just all about getting right into it because that's what we're doing here. It's season 3, episode 2 of the Holy GrAHL, and 1 weekend of action already in the books. I am already into it. I want to throw it on over to my co-hosts here first because I'm into it. I want to know, are you into it, Sam?
I love the intro.
I kind of do too. You can't see her pretty face, but Dee's over down in there somewhere in that gray silhouette, the enemy of technology. Are you into it?
Yes.
That's what I like to hear. Welcome. She's Sam. She's Dee, even if you might not believe it. I'm Andrew. You're listening into the Holy GrAHL. We are first weekend's in the books, man, and there's a lot. We got a lot to talk about. None least of all, Laval going 0-2, just so I can dunk on Dee one more time, but I can't see what she's kind of finger she's flipping off at me on their screen because, technology is not her forte. But we're going to get into it, man. I mean, there's just been so much action going on over here. Sam, I know you had a big trade going on in your beat over there. Uh-oh.
What? I'm here.
I know you're here. I know you're here for it.
Yeah.
What's happening over there?
So, yeah, big trade actually just happened today. Mark Friedman and Ty Glover went to the Vancouver Canucks organization, and Pittsburgh has received Jack Rathbone and Carl, I don't know, Plasek. Gotta learn his name. I gotta learn his name. But, yeah, getting Jack Rathbone is a pretty big addition.
I'm gonna say that's Carl Plasek. But I'm not an expert, so
it might be Carl, but it's also 3 days after I moved and I'm still very tired.
She's got a new spot, folks. How is the new place, by the way? I don't think I've ever asked you.
It's good. It's good. Just a lot of unpacking right now, and Sam is very tired.
Yeah, no one actually enjoys moving, but it's kind of one of those necessities in life.
And I moved in the downpouring rain.
Oof. And you drove a U-Haul.
Yeah. Yeah. Never doing that again.
Yeah. D. 0-2 Laval. Not the way you want to get started on your season. Do you want to talk about it?
No.
Just no. Can we talk about it?
Not just no. She said no.
And then it was just, and then that was it. I get it. Abbotsford kind of comes into your barn, not once, but twice, and kind of smacks you around a little bit. It can be kind of tough. And I know she's kind of going through it with the Habs as is. So it's, I understand the hesitation, and also, well, we're calling she's delayed D tonight. It's the technology. It's really not cooperating, but you know what? We're still going to give you a good show here this week. Can I talk about something nice? Yeah. I mean, Laval didn't come out with 2 wins, but you know who did? Maybe most surprising to me was the Grand Rapids Griffins. I
was very proud of them.
I'm telling you, it feels this is a difficult league to judge, especially after 2 games. What kind of vibes we're feeling, right? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm feeling some pretty good vibes coming from the Griffins. I know it's just 2 games, right? I know Simon Edvinsson, Jonathan Berggren, they're 1, why are they even here? 2, they're not going to be here for long. And that's going to change up this whole makeup of this team. But there's a lot of guys who were in that locker room last year who, after the team was down 2-1 after the second period on Friday, they said last year they would have fallen behind the 8 ball, fell apart, and they battled back, scored 2 big goals in the third, courtesy of Taro Hirose, and next thing you know, boom, big win on Friday, turn around, just throw up a 5 spot on the Colorado Eagles on Saturday, and 2-0. Now they're going to be heading out west up into the mountains in Colorado, run another 2-game series there with the Eagles. I want to pump the brakes a little bit because I can get a little excited sometimes. You see a team that's really struggled the last 2 years, kind of feel like they've kind of established a bit of a new, different identity, and I'm all for it. For number one, number two, there's a lot of youth in that locker room that's going to be buying into that identity versus buying into the identity of the last 2 years Griffins of we're just going to, every time we face adversity, we just fall apart. And I got to breathe because next thing you know, they win these 2 games in Colorado, and I'm going to be coming on next week being, the Griffins are going to the Calder Cup, baby. Let's go. Pump the brakes there. But you gotta be, if you're a Griffins fan, you gotta be at least a little encouraged with not seeing your team fall apart, but then responding, closing a big game out on Saturday instead of just taking your normal split like this team would normally do. I mean, and it's early, but you're already feeling that the vibes are different. And here at the Holy GrAHL, we are all about the vibes, which is why I wanted to get off hot on the Griffins, because the vibes are there.
Yeah, no, for sure. They did really well this weekend. I caught little clips and pieces of the game. And then you come to my team where they won against Charlotte and then completely blew it the next night. On that Friday, who got a goal? Austin Rushoff got a goal. Jonathan Gruden, Dmitry Samrakov, and Xavier Ouellet got a goal. And then the next night, Hellberg was in net. So, yeah. And Lehigh kind of did the same thing Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, they just completely, I don't know, blew a gasket. And then the next night, they went up against Belleville and completely not shut them out. The score was 5-2, but it was still like, where did this come from? Because we had Cal Peterson in net on Saturday night, and it was not a great showing.
That'll.
Sorry, D.
She's getting back in here. She's getting back. We'll be good.
So yeah, Cal Peterson was in net, and he gave up 3 goals within the first period. And Lappy kept him in the entire game. Don't know why. But then the next night came around, and Parker Gahagan was in net, and he had a great showing. And we didn't give up 3 goals in the first period. We gave up 2, not 3. So that's a positive. Some positives that did come out of that game were that Tanner Lazinski had a 3-point game. He had 2 assists and a goal. That was a breakaway goal. And defense showed up. But yeah, it was kind of really bad against Cleveland. I don't know what went on there.
Didn't Lehigh score a bunch of shorthanded goals this weekend, or am I looking at someone else's highlights?
No, they probably did. Saturday was a blur.
Between hockey and moving around and all of that, I get it. But I want to say, like, Cooper Marody had one. Rhett Gardner had another, maybe.
Cooper Marody is famous for his shorthanded goals. Like, that's how we won a lot of games last season. It's because of Cooper.
So if we're keeping up with the script, then I'm sure memory serves me right as I check out the box score. You know what? I am right. Rhett Gardner, Cooper Marody, and Adam Ginning. 3 shorties all in one game. Belleville, what are you doing? You might need a little bit of work on your play.
And the thing that surprises me is that Belleville shut Hershey out the night before.
That's just the beauty of this game is that, it's especially when you have such quick turnarounds, you often get like a complete 180 one night. You get one team that, is unstoppable on offense, and the next night, they used up all their magic beans and now they can't buy a goal. And it's just, especially in this league where, you got one goalie playing one night, one goalie playing the other. That's probably why Lappy kind of left Peterson in there, unless he's like not doing a Patrick Waugh or something, then he's probably just, probably best to just leave him in, because you gotta run the next guy the next night. Otherwise, you throw him in for second, third period, then for second, third period the next night, he's gonna be a little tired, right?
Yeah, and important to note about Parker Gahagan is that he has some AHL experience, but most of his experience does come from the ECHL. So I was really impressed with him. So, if he can keep up the performance that he had on Sunday, I think he'll be in Lehigh most of the season.
And you can probably bet on Lehigh not scoring 3 shorthanded goals in the game, probably for the rest of the season. I think that's a pretty safe bet. But you know what you can bet on? The NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day this October. What about this Sunday night's game? The Dolphins and the Eagles. The Eagles, as some people call them. 2 teams that are on a roll, 5-1 versus 5-1. What more could you want? Sam, our old resident Philadelphian, I know she's going to be getting into it, and all the others in this people in the city of brotherly love are going to be getting into it. You should get into it too. Get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet 5 on the NFL. That's code THPN, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-3669. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after assurance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions. Terms and responsible gaming resources. Whew. It always feels like a marathon at the end. You just, the legal stuff, you got to really just power through it. But
did you breathe?
Did I breathe like at all? No.
Probably.
You didn't hear me like at the end, just like, ugh. But these are the things we got to do. Anyway, look, for those on YouTube, we're going to be completely blown away because Dee's joined us again. She is real. Sometimes. I feel like sometimes it plays around with my imagination. There's days where it's like I know I can tangibly see her there, but I feel like it's my mind playing a trick on me. And mostly once it starts coming up with like the 80s cinema trivia, that's where I start feeling like everything's just a fever dream. And I'm like, is this real? Is any of this real? It happens more often.
Like, truly, I believe we live in a simulation. Like, at this point.
Okay, but here's the real think tank of the day. If we found out we did live in a simulation, would you want to escape that simulation into a possible like Matrix-y horrible apocalyptic scenario where now you got to fight an army of robots? Or do you kind of just want to exist in the simulation and be like, you know what? I'm just going to continue my chase for dopamine every now and then and just vibe, man. I feel like there's already, I have enough problems in the simulation. I don't need to leave it and find more.
Yeah, that was my big issue with Neo. Like, I would not have gone back into gone into the real world. I've been like back, and now that I know it's a simulation too, I'm gonna just be like taking advantage of it.
Where, right?
You know what I mean?
Where
like, weirdly, I'm gonna be president. I'm gonna be the most powerful man in the world. Like I would not have been like, you know what? Yes, I am the chosen one. That chosen one storyline would end real quick with me. I'd be like, no.
I would be the chosen one in the simulation, and then if I ever got bored or just be like, I have another path out, like yoink, or I just like find the restart button, and then like you can just respawn. Imagine you just had like a Skyrim save system, and you could just that's going to be the key to life. We have to find out how to get into the system and how to code it so that we can quick save whenever we want, and then just go on insane crime sprees of all kinds.
Well, I definitely don't have the best track record with Skyrim. That's a story for a different time. I'll tell you my Skyrim story at some point. The short version of it is that I'm a level 2 stuck in like a level 50 dungeon because I let a Khajiit bully me into a quest at magic school that I definitely should not have been doing. So
I feel like I'm the only one who's never gotten into video games in her entire life. The only time I was into video games is when I had a Nintendo Wii, and that's not even a video game. I don't feel like it is.
No, okay, Wii Sports is like the most elite video game that has ever existed in the history of video games. All right, like you cannot tell me that like you did not get super into like Wii Sports tennis for no reason.
Yeah,
I would.
If I can call golf like an actual sport that I play, like we can count Wii Sports as video games. Like I feel like the parallel there.
Video.
Yes. Anyway, next month I'm gonna just try and get Sam into like Mortal Kombat or something, and then she's gonna be all about it. But
I'm gonna put her right in the middle of like Battlefield or something. Like she's gonna just be playing online all the time.
Yeah, just drop her right in, sink or swim. Next thing you know, she's gonna have her whole setup in the new place, and it's gonna be glorious. I can't wait for it.
She's gonna have a lot of opinions on like Valorant or something.
I'm seeing she's not saying anything, but I can see the gears turning in her head because she knows that she can't get away from this fate.
She's interested. We've piqued her interest.
We're gonna plug her into the simulation, and then her sim in the simulation is gonna grow sentience, and then it's gonna have its own podcast talking about are we in? Is that an actual thing? I don't know. The Sims speak in gibberish.
No, they speak in Simlish. First of all, they do not speak in gibberish. They speak in Simlish.
Is that an actual like coded language? We're not getting back into the languages again. That was episode 1 stuff.
Yeah, no, they speak in Simlish, and I like one of my intrusive thoughts all the time is just like Blarney, Zini Wharf, which I don't know what it means, but I hear my Sims say it all the time.
Well, we'll have to get another linguistics episode. I'll give you like one linguistics episode a month, but this isn't going to be the time for that. We got hockey stuff, and that's if you can tie the Sims into AHL hockey, then we'll get into it. But until then, I know you're not going to answer for the 0-2 Rocket. And
I will.
Listen, you will?
My mic literally went like the most kaput I've ever seen anything go. Like let's move past the German and we're going to go into like the Yiddish. It's verklempt. I literally a message flashed up. It said USB device not recognized, and I'm like, what do you mean it's not recognized? I was just using it. Freaked out, crashed the whole mic. Now it's not even getting power, so I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, the Rocket. Pain. Yeah.
Pain.
I did. Listen, I'd be lying if I said I didn't expect a rough start to the season from the Rocket, just because they had a rough season last season. Like, they usually take some time, some feeling out time to get better, to kind of find their groove. They do that, but they're already facing like a lot of hurdles. You know, I talked about how the team looks way different than it did last season. We got a bunch of players that are like just not with the Rocket anymore. Specifically players that left the organization like Tori Dello and Corey Schooneman and Peter Abbandonato, who were really big like utility guys for the Rocket who, did great things and put up some pretty respectable numbers on a team where scoring depth was basically shouldered by the entire team. Um, but and they have a lot of like players that have been staples in the lineup up with the Canadians right now. Harvey Pinard and Ullinen being two major skaters that are up there with them. Caden Primo is the third goalie over there. But, like Harris, Gooley, Barron, they're all with the Canadians as well. And it's not going to get better because Kirby Doc got injured. Chris Weidman had an injury early on, like the preseason. Christian Dvorak. So they already have roster holes that need to be filled up at the Canadians. So yeah, it's not it's not ideal, but like good news is even though we've got a bunch of new faces and Riley Kidney made the jump from like college and stuff. So we've got a lot of new faces, two new goalies. But I mean, we've got players that we're really familiar with that we're used to if we watch the Rocket, right? Yoel Armia got sent down from the Habs to start the season. He might be the first call up, honestly. So Armia might not be sticking around for the entire season, but he is a solid player and he could be very good for the Rocket, having had so much NHL experience. But Bork and Gignac and Simoneau and Stevens, Kandata, Wah, Toby Paquette-Bisson, Norlinder is back. So you've got a lot of faces that are familiar, that are really familiar with the way the Rocket play, that are really good, solid players and have been good, solid players for the Rocket for at least a season now. But they always have those growing pains to start the season. They always take so much time to settle in. And I think it's just because the Rocket aren't like other AHL teams where there's some sense of stability. The Habs get bitten by the injury bug really quickly, and the Rocket pay the price, and they're already doing that. So it's going to be one of those watch the Rocket because it could go either way kind of things.
Just a curiosity question. Was anybody called up in place of Kirby Doc right now?
I don't think so, but I've been working, so I haven't really been paying attention. I don't think so, because they had some like roster depth that they could call on and everything. But Doc's gonna be out for a minute. He like tore his ACL or something like that. Like it's not,
I think
it's not a good injury.
I think they're saying it's season ending.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
he's not. Yeah, it's a serious injury. I mean, it's like the time where his wrist looked like the signs when you're going down around an S curve on the road. Like, y'all remember when he broke his wrist so bad when he was still in Chicago?
I don't
Like,
want
do
to
y'all
remember.
remember that?
Yeah.
It was traumatic. Like, this man needs to, I don't know, we need to wrap him in bubble wrap or something because he's ruining the Rocket season. No, I'm kidding.
You're not wrong.
Rocket, rough start.
Yeah, poor Kirby Doc. Yeah, I mean, he might need a bubble boy. We might need a bubble boy scenario there. Thinking of like, do we want to talk about more pain in the next segue, or do we want to like talk about like something feel good? Where do we want to go? We want to keep the pain.
Keep the pain out of the way.
Let's keep the pain going because a lot of excitement for the Chicago Wolves considering their whole independence movement and everything. Kind of got dog walked in their home opener. Now, lost 2-1, respectable score, right? But when you start to look at the details, They didn't really hold the puck a lot. They were chasing a lot in the defensive zone. Thank the Lord for Adam Scheel coming out and just putting on a clinic in net. I know Sam's already got that told you so look on her face. I don't want to hear it, okay? He was incredible, and we'll get more into the situation about why he had to start here in a minute. But the Wolves had 9 power plays, and they all looked terrible. They didn't really have a good, big, great, glorious scoring chance on most of those. And Nate Soucis was the only one to kind of slide in back door and find the back of the net. Other than that, it seemed like I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because unlike the other teams in this league where you've had guys that have been playing together for a couple years or at least are familiar with the coaching system, the Wolves literally they were in the water and they just threw a net out and grabbed a bunch of guys that have been from different systems and different teams and different parts of the world and pulled them all in and said, you're playing for the Chicago Wolves now. And it's going to take a while for a team like that to gel. They've had a couple practices here and there, a couple exhibition games that would really get to know each other. And now it's time to hammer out a hockey team. And to be fair, for as long as I've covered this team, they've lost every single home opener. So one of those teams ended up as a Calder Cup champion. So I'm not going to totally count them out yet. But while we were talking about goalies earlier, I know Montreal was holding on to 3 goalies because they had that dreaded little monster in Tampa Bay that's probably going to pick one up off of waivers. Chicago's expected starter, Keith Kinkaid, was just placed on waivers today. We're recording this on Tuesday night. So by the time I'm talking about this, he might already be in Tampa Bay packing his bags up. But it's the whole situation there. There's a bunch of teams in the NHL that have been holding on because no one wants to give Tampa Bay a free ticket. Well, New Jersey just kind of threw Keith Kinkaid out there, and maybe that's the bait for Tampa Bay to grab. Otherwise, you're playing Matt Tompkins every now and then for the next 2 months, and that's a tall ask to go with Jonas Johansson, who hasn't looked bad, but if Kinkaid gets claimed, then the Wolves are going to have to run with Scheel and Julian Junka for who knows how much time, and it's bad news bears right now.
So I know I tweeted out the whole thing. I think it was by either Jeff Merrick or Elliot Friedman. I think it was Elliot Friedman when the announcement was made that Kinkaid was put on waivers. I retweeted it out and I said, Tampa Bay, go get your boy. And then I had a bunch of Wolves fans telling me no, and I'm like, I don't really care.
I do.
Rocket legend Keith Kinkaid.
Mm-hmm. So what's the story, D? Because I believe you're among many a Twitter user who cannot see Keith's updates on the former Bird app because he's living up to his name, Blockade. You've been blocked.
I have been blocked. I've been blocked for probably 3 or 4 years now, actually. Before I started my writing journey as a avid watcher of the Montreal Canadiens and Laval Rocket, Keith Kinkaid was one of the goalies in the organization. He was sent down to the Laval Rocket. He was struggling kind of a lot. I cannot even remember what goalie it was. It was either McNiven or Primo. I'm pretty sure it was Primo coming out of college finally, or it was either Primo coming out of college or McNiven coming off of injury or something. And I tweeted out something about Laval Rocket, don't start Kinkaid over whatever goalie it was, and he name searches and he blocked me for it. So it was literally just about we had a better goalie option. Kinkaid was struggling. I don't think he won a single game with like in that stretch of time. Yeah, so he might have won like one or two, like a handful total with in his time with the Rocket. But in the stretch where whatever goalie it was either coming back or coming to the team, yeah, I was like, do not start Kinkaid over this player. And yeah, I got blocked. I got blocked hard.
Okay, so you're not the only one blocked by a player. I am blocked by Jacob Voracek. Never said his name ever. I never even said anything bad. All I said was that the Atkinson trade was a good one. Block.
Well, you said something horrible. Yeah, no. Yep, blocked. It's the only player I know of that I'm blocked by, and I found out completely by like accident. Like I don't even remember how I found out. I just thought it was the funniest thing that I got blocked by Keith Kinkaid. Yeah, and I've been blocked, and we're maintaining that streak. It's been 3 or 4 years at this point that I've been blocked by Kinkaid. I did have a dream one time where I managed to convince him to unblock me just to immediately block him, which I thought was like really entertaining. I had that like a couple years ago. So
I love that it was on your mind so much that you actually had dreams about it.
I think it's because James Hamilton, our graphic guy, is also blocked by Kinkaid. And we had probably been talking about it. It was probably like right after James got blocked by Kinkaid. So my brain was like, haha, here's a funny thing. And yeah, I played a really long game, convinced him somehow to unblock me just to like block him back. So
to block him.
I actually love that.
Yeah.
How long until I'm blocked by him? Because if okay, so let's say the season's not going the best, which is you want to see the Wolves kind of come out and turn this ship around. I know it's only been one game, but you want to see them do better. But if it doesn't, if things start to go south, and I have to say Kinkaid's not, how long until I join the block list? I feel like I'm not doing this right because you guys all have your block stories, and I'm so non-confrontational in my tweets or X's or whatever they're called nowadays that I don't feel like no one's really ever mad at me. But
Voracek has the entire fan base blocked.
Well, it's Philly.
Facts.
I mean, it could be as simple as just like not even necessarily anything negative about, the player. Just, I don't know, players are petty. They're people too, like
it's all the vibes, and well, they're up and down a little bit in Chicago. Not a great home opener, but maybe getting Kinkaid back. There's another name that a lot of NHL fans might recognize coming into Chicago, Max Comtois. Did I pronounce that right, D? You're my resident
Yes.
French here. All right,
Yeah,
sweet.
You know what French name wasn't pronounced correctly earlier?
So we got it. We got to get it. We got the receipts. We gotta know.
Willette.
Okay, thank you. Well, a certain other reporter pronounces it the same way I did. So
Willette. In the like Anglicanized version of the name, it's Willette. Xavier Willette.
Yeah. You thought you were done with your French language.
Thank you, D.
Yeah, I for one, I was really surprised that no NHL team came up to Comtois, who's a former junior star for Team Canada and had a bit of a promising start there in the Anaheim organization, and it just didn't really come to fruition. And I guess their loss is the Wolves' gain, and we're hopefully they can get a big body up there in that top six to kind of snap the puck around, because it was looking pretty rough there. But again, it's all about getting all the lines to gel. While we're on Comtois, and he got his start in this league with the San Diego Gulls, and I know we spent a nice, pretty amount of time pretty much bashing the franchise's entire existence. And they're already a tenth of the way to their win total from last year. We've played one weekend.
Honestly, go off Kings. Like, okay.
Ducks, actually.
Gulls actually are not ducks. They're their own specific type of bird. I'm not gonna go into ornithology right now. Listen, it's okay. So I'm a rugby fan. In Houston, we have a professional rugby team. This season, before I moved back to Houston full time, I was able to like actually see a single match. They only won 2 games that season. The next season they won a whole bunch of them, but it was a very big celebration point when they surpassed their win total from the season before. So I, for one, will be tracking those and counting down to the surpassing the win total from last year for San Diego. I'm very excited for them. Like I said, go off Cakes.
We need to have like a live watch episode for when they're like the race to 21. It's completely nonsensical. All it is just getting more wins than they did last year. But is this really going to be like the Gulls revenge tour this year? Because if they just come out flying again, I know it's just 2 games, but I'd be
they're winning the cup. They're winning the cup. Let's go. Gulls winning it all.
Let it be known October 17th, and we have our first prediction here.
So listen, a player once told me that he wanted to get to 25 goals in the season, and he said it all starts with 1. So let's go Gulls. You guys are on your way.
We're big Gulls fans on this podcast.
I love it. You know, I don't like to punch down. I want to raise people up. Let's see the Gulls make a run, man. That would be awesome. And I don't know, maybe
I'd lose my mind. I would fully put all of my support behind this team. I would be like, actually, I've never heard of a Rocket before. Gulls.
It's all Gulls all the time. I'm all for it. I was just kind of looking at seeing like who, like, was it like a major change to their roster, or I'm trying to look back and forth and see who wasn't there, who's there now, or whatever. Like, the big thing that stands out to me is Lucas Dostal is now wrestling the starting job away from John Gibson up there in Anaheim. So you'd figure he was like the one bright spot on the Gulls last year. And as bright as he was, he couldn't just hold that miserable team up from 20 wins, but he's not even there anymore. And now it's like, okay, we're going to decide we're going to start winning. Maybe it's a coaching thing.
My column.
You think
Field Press Hockey.
Dostal was the problem? He was your all world goalie is the reason why your team can't win any games.
Yeah, that's it.
We have a lot of interesting theories rolling around here with San Diego, and I'm all for all of them.
Listen, I never said they'd be right. I did say they'd be entertaining, though.
You're not wrong.
Can we talk about how there's already a suspension in the league?
Yes.
Ozzy Weisblatt. Want to make sure I pronounce that right. He's suspended for 3 games as a consequence of an illegal check to the head of an opponent in a game versus Rockford.
It wasn't a pretty check.
No, you cannot do that.
It's against the rules. But yeah,
explicitly.
Leave it to the AHL to already have your first suspension of the season on the opening weekend.
First night.
This is where the AHL gets the reputation for being kids and goons. Like, it's things like this.
What happens when your kids are the goons?
Yeah, kid goons. Yeah.
So like I'm
Thank
kind of real
thank
curious.
God Arthur Jackeye never spent any time, like any major time in the AHL, because it would have solidified that.
Oh man. So I'm kind of curious though, like that how I'm thinking of it from like the position of someone who's just financially broke on my end. Like you're not even getting your first game paycheck yet, and you're already serving up fines. And like, so is he like Chris Cornell? Is he going hungry, or was that Eddie Vedder? Oh, geez, I just dropped my grunge knowledge. Anyway, he might have to skip grocery day.
Are you talking about? Wait, are you trying to quote "Hunger Strike" by Temple of the Dog?
Yeah. I don't know why I said it was Chris Cornell, but I think it's Eddie Vedder. Right? Why can't I name this? I'm
gonna let you Google that information.
Don't tell me it was some mystical third person, because I know it wasn't.
I'm just gonna let you Google that information.
Well, while I'm Googling this, what's the? Is it actually? I was thinking the German in you would have called it like Weissblatt instead of Weiss. I don't think that's the.
That's why I looked at her and I said, I hope I pronounced it right.
Okay, I mean there are acceptable like American.
It was Chris Cornell. Why did I doubt myself?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so disappointed in you right now.
Message PSA to all our listeners out there. Have some confidence in yourself. Speak that first choice with some backbone. Don't ever second guess yourself, because you know what? You're going to be right more often than you won't. And then you're going to look like me. And no one wants
If you're wrong, at least you're wrong with confidence. Like,
exactly.
Be wrong with gusto.
Confidently wrong is always better than unsurely right. Like that answer.
Unless you're flying a plane.
I mean, I'm sure there's other situations that we can think, but like, you know what? You're not wrong. So be confidently right when you're flying a plane.
Yes, please.
Or unsurely wrong, and then it's just more fun for everyone. So who gets the next suspension? That's where the money line is going to be. I know we were already talking about betting earlier.
Like
honestly,
team San Diego.
Honestly,
pick San Diego for everything.
I've got to say, not for nothing, but the way Lehigh was taking penalties and throwing down this weekend, Lehigh is probably going to be the next one, because he was not kind to Belleville and got into quite a few scrums. Good old.
It's going to be somebody. I think it's going to be somebody off the wall. It's going to be like the Wild or something.
Ooh, I mean, I could definitely see the Iowa Wild. They're already going to. Sure. They're known for just taking obscene amounts of penalties. I remember when Cody McLeod, who's like 38 years old, was trying to fight a 19-year-old on the Wolves. That was just wild stuff. And
yeah, I think it's going to be the Wild. I think that's what I think.
I'm taking a look at the Wild's roster. I'm like, okay, he might do it. He might do it. He might swing a stick at someone's head.
Right. It feels right.
Brendan Miller's already got 17 penalty minutes. Oh yeah, this is definitely the team.
Just like an egregious boarding or something, just like stay down kind of hit.
Yeah. Adam Beckman. Yeah, we're gonna. It's like the equivalent of the Deadpool, but it's the suspension pool for the Iowa Wild.
I know we're an AHL.
Let us know.
I know we're an AHL podcast, but there's a player in the ECHL right now who took 4 penalties in the first period of a game. He got fighting, instigating, fighting, game misconduct for his second fight in the first period. He did not come back until the end of the third. His name is
He got a full game paycheck for that too.
He did.
I wish I could get a full day's check for the day of the work.
That's your typical work day for Doug Glatt.
just another day in the office for him.
Mm-hmm. I love those guys. But if I almost segued this into like, I was about to say, if we want to talk about guys who are no longer with us, and I don't want to imply anything that he's passed on. I'm talking about a guy who's not playing in the AHL anymore. I was just scrolling through and talking about revenge tours. I think Matthew Phillips had the biggest revenge tour of all last night. This guy dominates the AHL. He's got a dinosaur of a coach up there in Calgary who says, no, he's shorter than 5'11". He's not playing on my team. So what does he do? He goes to Washington and he scores a goal and an assist, his first career NHL goal against Calgary. I know Daryl Sutter's over there on his farm in Viking, Alberta, and he's just writhing right now that someone who's 5'8" scored on his beloved Calgary Flames. But I love to see it. Matthew Phillips is a great story. He's a great guy. He deserves his shot. Who's going to get their next shot? I want it to be Andrew Podorowski, like next great AHL star that gets their shot in the show. But again, for some reason, no one seems to think that he deserves it, even though he does. He very clearly does. And I will go to the grave saying that Andrew Podorowski deserves his shot in the NHL. But you think about like the guys who have been here for years, the guys who have put their work in time and time again that deserve their shot. Who's going to be the next one? We already got.
Can I actually chime in here? Actually, tonight, Igor Zamula just got his first NHL goal.
Well, there we go. We're already behind the times, apparently.
It's like I was just scrolling through Twitter. Z has had a rough ride throughout his time just in Lehigh and Philly, and just for him to actually be able to get that goal was pretty awesome to see.
Oh, we love stories.
I think everybody should have a shot in the NHL. I just want them all to have fun.
There's only so many roster spots, D.
Not if we just expand the league the way the universe expands infinitely.
Well, I think where they're trying that, they want to go to Atlanta again.
They should come here.
I mean, if they bring the Arrows back, I would 100% be on board with that move.
Arizona doesn't need a team, Gary.
That's a whole other 2-hour podcast episode talking about the disaster in the desert. Why aren't the Arrows back? Why did they leave?
So the Arrows were the AHL affiliate of the Minnesota Wild.
Yes.
It got too expensive to shuttle players back and forth between Houston and the Twin Cities. So they moved them closer. Iowa is a little closer to Minnesota than Houston, Texas is.
Yeah,
also, I think they got priced out of the stadium. So Tillman Fertitta owns the Toyota Center, which is where they played after the Summit got bought by Joel Osteen.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a church now.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I hate it. I hate that guy. I hate him. So I'm a Houstonian born and bred. I hate that guy. But yeah, I think they got priced out of the Toyota Center. The Rocket, the Houston Rockets play there. So it's kind of like a lot. So I think priced out of the Toyota Center. It was really expensive to shuttle players back and forth between Houston and the Twin Cities. So yeah, just a couple factors. And the Arrows are now the Iowa Wild.
It's just one of the many crimes that have been perpetrated in this league. You know what else?
Yeah. Listen, no, hold on. I got something to say first. Because the Houston Arrows, all right, were an incredibly popular AHL team. They were an incredibly popular team. Houston, because of the energy industry, has a lot of Canadian like transplants. They also have a lot of people from like the north of the United States. that have like moved down into like, so people from super traditional hockey markets have moved down to Houston, the greater Houston area, because of the energy industries, like oil and all of that kind of fun stuff. The Arrows were at like the top of the list for attendance in the league for like most years. They were an incredibly popular team, and it wasn't because people were coming to see prospects from other teams. It was because the Arrows had fans, because everybody wants a local team. And when you have that many like transplants from places that were watching hockey and like live and breathe hockey, and they were starved of it, but you gave them a local team for so many years, because the Arrows were around in the IHL days. But it's I don't know. They were an incredibly popular team, and I miss them. And one of the reasons that I will forever hold a grudge against Minnesota is that they ripped a team away from a fan base that loved them.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen that in Houston.
It's like the North Stars. It's like you'd think that a Minnesota team wouldn't North Stars another fan base,
right?
But like like the other way.
They're looking for some good old revenge on Texas hockey, and they just had their sights set wrong. They just figured one large Texas encompassing culture is just that's not the way to do it. But you know what really kind of grinds my gears about this league is when teams get just super uncreative about their affiliates. They like, okay, we'll just take him to Iowa. Are we gonna keep calling them the Arrows? No. Are we gonna? There was a team that existed for a single year, and it's like one of my favorite aesthetics in this league ever. It's the Iowa Chops. I love the Iowa Chops, that ugly logo and those ugly colors. Look at that. Bobby Ryan playing for the squad back in the day. It was beautiful. I wish they would just keep up with something unique like that. And at least like the color scheme is a little different. And I get there's not the whole, connection, but just calling them the Wild and having the same color scheme, the same logo, the same everything, it's boring. It's boring, and Iowa's got enough boring going on in the entire state. You don't need to boring it out more.
No, you know what I'm going to say? It's lazy, all right? Because if the Heartlanders could come up with some, like, super bomb
right there.
Name and imaging and, like, oh, the Heartlanders, great. I'm very excited when they announced that team name and their logo. I love it. I love it to death, the Heartlanders. It's lazy. It's lazy. I'm looking at you, Providence. I'm looking at you, Texas. I'm looking at you, Wilkes-Barre. It's lazy.
Well, she just called you out, Sam.
I ain't Wilkes-Barre. I only write about it.
Yes.
The Habs got a new affiliate, and they took like so much time, and then ended up naming their new baby AHL team after arguably the most recognizable name in all of professional hockey. Come on.
It's right. It's right there. It's creative. It's genius. And then you look at like when the possibly the most unforgivable one is in Bridgeport, where you have the Sound Tigers. The Sound Tigers. It's
in
so
the Chaos
cool.
League article, I ripped into their name. I ripped into them.
Well, we need to rip into them more, because I don't feel like we talked about it. It's unique. It's fun. I'm asking myself, what is a Sound Tiger? Is it different than a regular tiger? How is it? Where are we getting this from?
Oh,
and they could still be the Sound Tigers.
The team was actually partially named after P.T. Barnum, which is like not great because he was a horrible person. But I mean, it's a cool.
You can do better than just calling them the Islanders, though. There's not even an island in Bridgeport.
I really enjoy when a team changes affiliations and then they change their colors to go with it. That's really fun, Utica.
Well, they go from that Vancouver, which really it doesn't make sense. Vancouver's 2,000 miles away from Utica, so why they were ever affiliated to begin with, who knows? But at least the New Jersey stuff makes sense. I'm not the colors. I can. It is what it
Right,
is.
but they
But
just all they did was change the color scheme. They didn't add any like New Jersey Devils-ness to the Comets like logo or uniforms or anything like that. They just made it red, white, and black.
Well, Utica needs to learn to keep the lights on, and hopefully they learned their lesson from last season when the lights went off in the middle of the game. I chirped them all season long last year.
And it sounds like we're picking right back up from where we left off, which is great. Always pay your energy bill, folks. Some of these, like, notice how Coachella Valley came into the league, right? And they're not the Coachella Valley Kraken. They're not the Coachella Valley Nesties.
They should have been like
Bridgeport Islanders make no sense, but they still did it.
No, they should have been like the Coachella Valley Beyoncés, or like the Coachella Valley cultural appropriations or something.
The Coachella Valley festival-driven hipsters.
Coachella Valley white girl wasteds.
And like all their jerseys aren't washed, just like all of the hippies at the festivals. That would actually be like a psychological, like, I'm pretty sure there are teams in beer league that, like, you go out to the draw and you're like, this guy hasn't washed his jersey in like 3 months. You can just feel it wafting all, and you're not going to get into the face-off because then you're into the stink, and it's terrible. I can't even describe. It's like a dead carcass, and if you had the same thing in Coachella, you get the festival hippies, and you're not washing your jerseys. Tactical advantage.
Oh, that's the Coachella Valley headliners. That would
have. That's creative. I like that.
Yeah,
it's not.
I've been brainstorming Coachella Valley names this whole time.
It's not the Coachella Valley Islanders. That's all I'm saying.
What if it was the Coachella Valley Islanders?
I'd probably stop covering this league on principle. I can't do it. If they ever decide to switch affiliations with the Islanders, we're going to have a long discussion about that. But
it would be really entertaining considering how far away they
are. Well, if Utica and Vancouver can do it, the sky's the limit.
But Utica and Vancouver only barely did it. Like, you have to remember that did not work out well for Utica and Vancouver.
Well,
That's
obviously,
not what I would have called a functional relationship.
Listen, there are millions of people every year that function in dysfunctional relationships.
And they shouldn't. They should go.
I think all three of us can attest to that. Actually, now that I think about it, we're all just kind of like
therapy and start lifting heavy.
Oh, me.
I thought she was calling me out there for a second, but maybe it's you, maybe it's both of us, maybe it's neither of us, maybe it's Maple.
It is Maple. This is Maple.
For everyone on YouTube, bask in the glory of Maple. Look at those ears.
She's my best friend's corgi puppy, for those of you not on YouTube.
She's a sweetheart. Okay, if you had to relocate a franchise for Maple, who would it be?
Do what now? Sorry, repeat the question.
Instead of, okay, you have control of the Bridgeport Islanders, right? You have to make it creative, but it's got to have something to do with Maple. Look at that. Look at, she's such a sweetheart.
Are there any cities in Vermont?
Define city.
like that could support an AHL affiliate? What's the capital of Vermont?
Montpelier, I believe. But there can't be a lot of people there, I want to say.
It is Montpelier.
Look at me. I am so smart.
Okay, because like Maple though, like the obvious answer is like you send them to Toronto, but they already have one.
Yeah, there's enough loser maples in Toronto. We need to put them in a city that works. Vermont might be it.
Because Vermont is also like a big part of the maple syrup industry.
That's true. How many people are in
Um,
Montpelier?
I don't know. I'm on my phone.
The population was 8,000.
When?
2020.
Are there any universities in Vermont?
Who's got their Discord open? You're getting that's. Yes, there is a University of Vermont. It's in
Probably not that big.
well, it costs $19,000 a year to go there, so
Yeah, no, not that big. What's a city in upstate New York that doesn't currently have a team?
they all do. Rochester,
Yeah,
Utica,
well,
Syracuse,
and it depends on who you
Albany.
ask about where
Albany
upstate-
used to have one.
Okay, so let's put them in their old barn, and we'll call them the Albany Sappers.
I was thinking sappers. Okay, because that's like a double entendre. Because that could also mean that they're like engineers.
Yeah, like Army sappers who
I like it.
blow up
Okay.
more bridges than they build.
But they really just. I mean, you can't call them saps because that's like
Actually, there was an AHL team in Albany at one time.
the River Rats.
Cool.
Yep.
We'll put them in their old barn. The Albany Sappers. Maple is the mascot.
Look at that. And she looks right into my soul. She knows what's going on.
She's very suited to her role. She is actually very happy for this employment opportunity and would like to thank the AHL for its considerations.
Just based on the ears alone, do you think the ears have to be part of the uniform, right? Or like
Oh yeah, like
on the helmet?
this,
Yeah.
like right there, that is the logo. She was
We
trying
love
to eat
you.
my toes earlier though, so like that's not like the coolest thing.
Maple, I've known you for all of like 20 minutes, but if anything happens to you, I would kill everyone in the room and then myself.
Yeah.
And now,
This is
before
not-
anyone decides to throw the suicide hotline at me, it's a line from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So
It's true. Yeah, this is my puppy niece.
can you just like send her up to Michigan for like? I just want like a weekend. That's all. I'm not asking for custody. Not even like half custody.
Yeah. You're gonna have to talk to her parents about that because
I
I
pay
barely
well.
even get to see her anymore.
I haven't seen my sister's dog in all of like 24 hours, and I already miss him terribly. So
You got too attached.
I know it's the worst.
I mean, it's hard not to with that face.
Seriously. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm really looking forward to this weekend coming up. Mostly because thanks to Matt Harding, just Harding, as we know him
Yeah.
at Field Pass Hockey, and Matt Thomas, I have a great opportunity to go cover the Griffins out in Colorado. So, which is like mountains, which means like hiking, which means like hockey coverage. I'm just basically on cloud nine. I just want to get that out to everyone. Like, it's one thing to go to your home arena and cover games, but then like when you cover games on the road, it's got like a bit of a Christmas morning feel to it, where it's like you don't really know what you're getting into. you kind of do after the first couple times, but like when you're in a new building, it's all different. You're looking around like, ooh, wow, this is like really cool. And I'm really interested to see like how the team performs in altitude. Is it going to be any different? Because Michigan's notoriously about 6 feet above sea level all across the entire state, and it's
Colorado is not.
Colorado's definitely not. So
I would do anything to get back to Colorado for a weekend to cover hockey. Like, I'm so stoked for you. It's not even like funny.
Very excited. Sam, I know you were starting to say something there.
I kind of want to go up and see the Bridgeport Sound Tigers.
Yes.
Play against Wilkes at one point.
You unfortunately need a time machine for that because they make horrible decisions with lasting impacts.
You need to go to Bridgeport and try and find an island for me. Like, I don't care if it's a puddle because it's a rainy day and you throw a rock into it. I guess that would count as an island, but you got to find some kind of otherwise.
You're going to have to break into somebody's house. A kitchen islands count.
Well, see, the thing is I'm not calling them the Islanders because they are the Sound Tigers and they will forever be the Sound Tigers in my mind. Except if I have to write an article on them and then I will call them by their appropriate name. But for these purposes, they are the Sound Tigers.
Should you, though? Do you think maybe we should just call them the Sound Tigers in our articles and then they'll just be like, okay, well, you know what? It sounds better. We're going to do that. Like, what kind of a rebrand was it to call them the Islanders? Like,
three of us are definitely gonna change some very rich men's minds for sure.
You know, I know the direction that you were going with that was probably to dissuade me, but that motivated me even more. I'm gonna do it.
That what thou willst.
I'm gonna do it. Oh, we're bringing the Sound Tigers back.
Oh, Nichols.
Maybe we just got to buy the team. I don't know.
Yeah. I got $5. I can pitch in. I'll be the minorityest of owners.
I have $4, almost 5. Well, it's either we buy Bridgeport and rename them back to the Sound Tigers, or we buy Iowa and we call them the Chops.
Or we send them back to Houston.
We send them back to Houston. Yeah.
Okay, that's a better idea. As much as I love pork team names.
And also I'm Jewish, so like.
Also, it won't work.
Yeah.
Oh,
we just went back to Houston.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about it. That's like meta level stuff that I don't think about. So.
Yeah, weird how two of us did though.
Well, there's clearly something that you guys share in common that I don't.
Caden Gooley's got injured.
We're women. That's what we have in common.
Yeah,
I was gonna say you guys both have dogs, but okay, we're gonna go right to the genders. I'm fighting a losing battle on that front, so I have to try and shift the wins elsewhere. Otherwise, you guys are just going to team up on women power, and then democracy rules, and I'm out every time.
Can Maple be the Holy GrAHL mascot?
Sure.
I thought we already established that she is.
I thought Yuppie was my dog, not the mascot.
I mean, they all can be the Bruno can be like part-time mascot whenever he does find his way over here.
Yeah, Bruno may join the pod as a treat.
I would do one of those, you know, those skits where they have like the dog in the shirt, but they have the people hands walk around. If Bruno would sit still for like 10 minutes, I would totally do that. An entire episode of it. But unfortunately, he's off at college with his mama, leaving me all alone, my lonesome. It's really kind of depressing if I think about it. Well, we are one weekend into the season. We got weekend number 2 coming up. What are the vibes? Are we stoked? Are we like, I don't know. I mean, my team's getting injury after injury. Now half my team's going to be from, I don't know how to say it in French, so I'm just going to say Three Rivers. But at least it would have been worse if I tried to actually pronounce it. So
just call it TR.
TR. There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, in French it's TR, but yeah.
Not
Maple.
not this weekend, but next weekend TR comes to Pennsylvania.
There you go. Have a little bit of Laval come. I mean, to a degree.
It's an hour and a half away from Laval. First of all.
Well, I know that. Well, it's going to be in the past Wednesday, but for us recording tomorrow, the Wolves are playing the Stars, which I'm again, lame creativity, but good team. But they're playing at 10 o'clock, or is it 11 o'clock locally? 11 o'clock locally. Because it's a school day game, the first one of the season, as far as I'm concerned. Now, try and imagine you're at your place of business and you're trying to do your job and you just have like 8,000 screaming kids in your ear. That can't. I know it's great for growing the game, but as a player, you gotta hate it, right?
I don't know why you're saying imagine. Like that isn't just what my job is.
So the Wednesday preseason game that I covered for Wilkes-Barre for Field Pass, that was a kids' day game, and I'm pretty sure I couldn't hear myself think. That's how loud it was.
That's got to be terrible. How do you deal with it, Dee?
By being mean to the ones you can be mean to, and no, I'm kidding. Basically, my screaming children come from the fact that there is like 3 high school and middle schools in the vicinity of my job, and I work at a place that is more like geared toward middle schooler and high schooler children. So basically we set up a PlayStation 2 with the Guitar Hero, and when they get really annoying, I just kind of challenge them to get 100% on expert on Carry On My Wayward Son.
Which is kind of impossible.
It's not easy if they've never played it before. I mean, and these are all like new kids, like they haven't really, like, they didn't grow up on Guitar Hero the way we did. So yeah, if they're being particularly annoying, I know which ones I can be more sarcastic to and kind of be like, hey, dude, you're kind of being the worst right now. I need you to chill out, leave the store, come back when you've figured it out. But the ones that like usually aren't that bad, but they're, for whatever reason, all of their friends are there, so they're just being like particular heathens. I'm like, hey, I bet you can't get 100% on expert on this song. And of course, like, most of them have never heard the song before. So, and it's long. It's not the longest one on there. It's just like ungodly long for no reason. It's Kansas, so.
It's true. But what happens if you're Adam Scheel in that you're getting absolutely shelled with 15 shots in a period and you got a bunch of 5th graders in your corners just nonstop banging on the glass, screaming when SpongeBob comes on during the stops and play, and it's just I'm not a kids guy. I make exceptions mostly for family, but sometimes your kid can be cool. But like 90% of the time, I kind of don't want to deal with it. So when I'm faced with a situation where, like, okay, we're just gonna let these kids loose in the stands, we're gonna double up the cotton candy vendors, and they're just gonna be sugar rushed all up. That just doesn't. If I was. I might call in sick if that was my job.
Me personally, I would just like have a sign like as a player, I would have a sign that like needed to be taken back to the bench before the game actually started that I just like propped up on the like the net that said us losing is your fault. And then all of the teachers would have to read it to them. And then there'd be like a wave of realization that they're the worst. So
Yes, but now you've turned those screams into cries and sobbing.
good. This is just like a performance of the ballet. Please remove your screaming children.
But isn't that the point of the game? Is that the screaming children?
Nope.
Oh,
The point of the game is to win.
that's fair. That's fair. I didn't think about it that way, but that's fair. What? Okay, so I'm gonna be going up to the mountains and having a great old time. What are y'all's weekends looking like?
ECHL, AHL game Friday, ECHL and AHL game Saturday, ECHL on Sunday.
So you're just absolutely to the wall in hockey, huh?
I am getting hammered this weekend with hockey games.
That's a double entendre. I like it. Dee, what's your weekend looking like other than working retail?
I don't know. See, today's
More
arms. Tomorrow's a rest day because I've got my best friend's inventory that I'm helping out with. So then Thursday is legs. Fridays, chest and back. Saturdays, arms again. Also college football.
College football is a big one. Is there any hope for A&M or?
Listen, they're not. I mean, it's not the end of the season. They're like, I don't know. They've lost 3. They might have a split record at this point. I'm not the best at keeping up with records because it's just too many numbers for me. But they've basically, so they lost to Miami, Alabama, Tennessee. They might have lost to somebody else, but I don't know. But I know for sure they beat Auburn. I think they beat Arkansas. I don't know. Possibly, but also probably not because it's A&M.
The average A&M fan just completely lost in purgatory.
Like I said, considering asking John Manziel if he'd like to re-enroll at the Texas A&M, the Texas Agricultural and Mechanical University.
He would 100% be the Van Wilder of A&M. I 100% believe that. Well, we got a big weekend full of hockey, big weekend full of football, big weekend full of vibes. I'm here about it, but we're wrapping this week's episode. This episode's week up. I don't know. We're all over the place. Sam's been moving. We're all a little tired. I'm existentially tired for you. So, on behalf of myself, Andrew, for Sam over here, for Dee down here, it's been a wonderful week vibing with you all. I've had a wonderful time. Let's do it again next week. This is the Holy GrAHL, and we are signing off.